Here we go. What up, family? This is Joe checking in for No Picks Podcast.
Hey, what up? Y'all, this Ty checking in, Nopick's podcast.
What's good, Ty? How you feeling, man?
I feel good, man. We doing this live stream shit. Like we gotta get used to this. I'm sure we gotta iron out some bugs and shit like that. But yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We're trying to do lives as often as we can so that you guys can feel more conversational. We'll still have the episodes too, but like at least with this, we get it feels more conversational. I guess is what I'm saying. So we want to react to some stuff again. So Ty,
Yeah.
I have something that I know that you have lots to say about. It's connected to conversations we've had before, but I thought it was great perspective. So I'm just gonna load up the clips. I'm gonna load. There's two clips, right? They're both the first one. I'm gonna rock out. Then we're gonna talk about it and then I'm gonna show you the second clip, and then we'll talk about it. All right, but these are interesting clips. Sorry, so I'm about to share my screen. I'm gonna let you know right now. All right, here we go. So, family, let us know what you think because these are gonna be some interesting clips. We definitely want you guys to chime in and let us know what you think. And here goes the first one. Can you see my screen, Ty?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, family, here we go. All right, so this is the first clip. Here we go. Let me know what y'all think.
These white women, they saw the vision. Yep. They like, look, I see where this is going. I'll study this. Kevin Samuels already exposed how they have courses and shit. Yeah. They're reading books and shit on how to get these type of men. They actually work to get these men. They know this is a competition. Yep. I'm going to outcompete the competition and get chose. And this is why they're getting chose. When you talk to black women, they are repulsed at the word competition. Yeah. I tell black women all the fucking time, you got to compete for the man you want. Compete, he can have that bitch. Well, guess what? That draft day, he's having.
All right.
That's funny.
That was the first clip, so I'm gonna stop sharing. All right, that was the first clip. Now, the second clip is heavily related to the first one. But do you have anything to say about the first one? Or you want to go on the second one and then?
I mean, all right. Listen, I'm gonna have to. I get what he's saying as far as like how white women actually like try to go out there and compete for a mate. But I think he's overselling it. Like I don't think it's bro. Like I went to LaSalle, which was back then. I don't know by now, but back then it was predominantly white. And I've talked to and dealt with a lot of white women back then, bro. And like, put it this way, they're cool with, you know what I mean, like linking up with you when you have nothing and getting married and then y'all building together. I think that's absolutely true.
Okay.
But I don't think it's just like they're like studying and shit like that. I'm sure some of them do, right? But it's like I don't think that they're like out there like hunting for men and being like, oh, okay, cool. Like I think it's like a kind of like a circumstances happen and they're like, okay, cool, this guy seems cool. This is his major. All right, cool. This may lead into something.
Okay.
But I think they're open to it. But what I will say is black women are not like that. Like the black so
you got to be done. You got to be successul. You got to be at the finish line. You got to be successful. You got to be the man already.
Right. So they definitely move a little differently. And they like where a white woman would if a white woman gets married right out of college, other white women say, oh, or other white people say, oh, okay, cool, that's good. Go on with your life, go knock yourself out. Black women get married right out of college. Other black women like, damn, you losing out on so much. Like, what about all the girls trip we missing out on? Like, come on. Like,
did you even have a whole phase yet? Like, girl, did you go through that?
Yeah. Like, they definitely kind of see it as like a rite of passage, and I'm like,
right.
All right, cool. Like, but I mean, like I said, this is I deal with all comers, right? Like, I'm an equal opportunity employer out this bitch, but I mean. Yeah, he overselling it. The white women ain't out there studying like, what do black men do? They eat? Like they're not doing that shit.
So I appreciate the perspective. I'll share my opinion on everything after I show the clip, but I just want to see how you felt about the first one. That's the warm up. All right, so here go the second clip. It's related, and then let's talk about it because it's funny that you said what you said. All right, so here we go. This is interesting, and then we'll really talk about this because, Lord have mercy, the conversations we've been having the past couple weeks. And keep in mind, family, I have the single mother by choice and the single by choice period in mind when we're talking about these conversations because it's all the same energy, right? We're trying to make a bigger point. So here we go.
Heard you say one of your initial classes, one of the first classes you had, you noticed that it was predominantly non-black women who were going in there studying black men.
I started teaching a black male course because it was needed. I'm looking at these young brothers who were getting accepted, and a lot of them were, dropping out. A lot of them really didn't have any support structure on how to navigate college. So I created this class alongside a student group for Black males and began to implement that. And early on, what I found was I had more Black women than men, which, numerically is no surprise. That tends to be the case anyway, as far as the enrollment in school. My initial training in my doctorate was as a feminist. I hadn't dealt with gender prior to my doctorate. So I came in with that framework. The only way I knew how to deal with gender was through kind of what she taught me. So I'm teaching this Black male class using this approach I got in grad school, and I'm watching the numbers of Black males dwindle. I'm seeing the Black males in my class looking at the ground, just kind of disconnected. And I'm seeing the women more and more excited. And what I realized was that it was becoming a class where the young ladies were using me to finger wag at the men. So when I started to actually ask the men what their perspectives were, and I started to kind of change the narrative, and after a couple of years, I noticed the number of Black women dropped dramatically. The number of Black males started to increase. Within the next couple of years after that, I noticed I started to get this population of white women.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were there. When I began to kind of ask them, in the hallways, under the, why are you taking this class? And I started to find, oh, well, my boyfriend is, and I want to understand him and his family, or, I'm trying to date some of the men on the basketball team or football team or whatever, but I don't understand them. So they were doing research. They're getting A's. It's a weird thing where I got to give A+ to white women in a class on Black males because they are handling all the homework assignments and reading everything to a T. They're asking me about the citations that were made by the author. I'm like, good Lord. But they were serious. And I would say, another 3 or 4 years after that, I noticed the population shifted from, white women to Latinas. And the Latinas were coming in with the same kind of intensity, the same kind of questions, the same motivation.
You're literally telling me that you had a class that was dedicated to Black men, where Black women have an opportunity to study their men, understand what they're going through, understand how to relate to them better. And instead of us doing that, you have other women of other ethnic groups, other races going in, taking note, using it as ammo to get the quote unquote best men out there. So it's like, how can you compete with that? This is based upon what you just said. It's like, this is why they are winning our men. If that.
All right. So they go on for a little bit, but that was pretty much, that was like the juicy stuff, right? All right. So it's funny. I played that right after you said what you said. And so this is a professor. He taught a class, graduate level. He studied feminism. So remember, he's a feminist, right? So he started teaching this class about Black males through a feminist lens, and realized as he did that, the men in the classrooms, the number of men in the classroom started dwindling, right? It started going down and down, because then he basically felt like he was like you said, finger wagging to get to the guys, and to and they wasn't feeling that. So then when he finally started to ask the men what it is, just ask them about what it is that they wanted, what they needed, how they felt, and then started he kind of tailored his class. He noticed that the number of Black women started to dwindle, and then they started dropping out, but then it was more Latinas and more white women at first. So it's funny that you like these, they aren't researching it. So here's one example. This is not speaking for all these white women or all these Latina women, of course, but here we have an example of a professor, a college professor, saying, listen, we had a course on Black men, and it was the white shorties who were going hard to understand, to really understand the Black men, what they like, what they dislike, what they want, what they need. Latinas followed on board after that, but like everyone but the Black woman was trying to, not everyone, but other women but Black women were basically trying to understand the Black male, so they could get one, so they could acquire one, so they could marry one. So anyway, all right. So did your perspective change at all, or how did you feel about that second clip?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, listen, if that's what his, like, what I mean, his data showed him, his experience, what I mean, he knows more than I do as far as that goes. I mean, I would say that's interesting, but I would think that, so it's like, all right, so how like the Black church is, right? How people say the Black church, Black men aren't in a Black church, right? Well, the only Black men that are in Black churches are married or gay.
Right.
That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
So and this Black church comprised mainly of Black women, right? Looking for men.
They pushed men out. They pushed men out. We talked about that.
And it reminds me of what he said, because they're like, the preachers and all those people are finger wagging at the men, like, oh, well, men suck. No matter what you do, you suck. You got to revere the woman, and it's like a weird dynamic in church,
right?
That's why Black men don't go to Black church no more. They're like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm like, they're just not there no more, right?
That's real.
So, and I would imagine that's what happened. Well, that's what he said happened in his college class. So he was like, yo, like, the Black women were kind of using his lectures and stuff to finger wag at the Black men, like, see, you gotta do better, you gotta do better, you gotta do better.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, dudes aren't gonna go for that shit, because it's like, bro, like, if like it's a weird idea to be like, basically you're saying, worship the ground they walk on. And that's a bad message for men to digest. It's like, bro, like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to do that shit. Like, this needs
Right.
to be like a reasonable kind of, you know what I mean, conversation or compromise.
Right.
And no, I'm not gonna kiss your ass just to get along. Like, no, like, if I think you're unreasonable, I think there's nothing wrong with addressing that.
Yeah. No, that's real.
But yeah.
No, well, no, yeah. So we talked about the black church and all the issues with it and how they're deterring men, which is why the shorties are trying to find God and find a husband who's God fearing, but they're not finding them at churches. And even if you find a woman at a church as a man, she probably got kids already because all these moms out here got all these single moms out here. You know, once they see the struggle's hard, they're like, all right, I got to find God again. I got to go back to a church and find me a man. But you got two old kids now. But I thought this was interesting, right? Because we talked about Ebony K with the single by choice and family. If y'all remember too, we talked about single by choice, just period, just women who say I'm single by choice. So this for me, this right here is a source of that problem, right? Because I agree with the first brother, the one who was like, our women do not want to compete,
Right.
and they
I agree
don't
with that.
see that.
Yeah.
They don't see the issue with that. They don't. I feel like they lack the self awareness to see that, right? Because they've been taught that they're the prize. It's black
Yeah.
girl magic. You shouldn't be chasing no man. You should be doing this all the sheerest sevens, all the stuff coming
But
out.
Joe, let me interrupt you real quick, bro. I think it's more than that. I think they think they're entitled to black
Yeah.
to black men
Right.
specifically. Like black men should look at black women as the default 100% of the time, bro.
Right.
My ex, bro, we got into like a nasty ass back and forth 1,000
Yeah.
times because like she's like, because how she looked at it was like, yo, because her and I were married, right? When her and I were married, she was like, yo, um, she didn't like the fact that I kind of put every woman on like an equal playing field. Like whether you could be, you know, a goddamn Eskimo, you could be an African, you could be fucking some from Sweden. It didn't matter to me. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna look at what you look like and, you know what I mean, like, and how you act, whatever. But her perspective was basically like black women should rank, like all black women should rank above everybody else. So it's like, even if it's like an unattractive black woman, a black woman that's like 400 pounds, you know what I mean? Like look crazy, like Precious type shit. And it's a chick like Marco Robbie, a white chick like Marco Robbie. I'm supposed to be like, no, Marco Robbie, I'd rather not have you. I'd rather have Precious because she black. That's fucking crazy.
That is wild.
Like,
That is
that
wild.
was her. That was her perspective. She was very disappointed in me with that. She was like, bro, like we're black. Like I don't understand why like you would even consider a white woman when there are so many black women. I'm like okay, but like that's not how I see shit. But like they think they're entitled to have us. Kevin Samuels mentioned it once. He was like, yo, like he on his show once. You probably remember because you used to watch it, listen to it or whatever. But bro, there was this chick and she was on the show and she was like, yo, he was like, yo, she was like five. Let's say she was 5'5", like 220. Right, and of course she'd be like, "Well, it's all the fat is in the right spaces, right?" So that's what they say, right? It's like I'm not fat, I'm just like, you know what I mean. I got a fat ass, I got some big titties, whatever. So he was like, "Yo, he was like, okay, let me ask you a question. If you take all the black men out the world, right? Do you think you would have to lose some weight, get more fit to get any other group of men?" And she was like, "Yes."
And she
And he was
said,
like,
"Yeah,
"That's fucked up." Remember that? He was
I
like,
remember.
"That's
I
fucked
do
up."
remember." As soon as you said, I'm like, I remember that one. I do.
Yeah. Because
And
she was
that's
like,
what he
because
was
she
telling
think
her.
that she
Yeah.
could be 5'5", 220 and don't got to work on shit and get any black man she want.
And they
But
got
if
to,
she,
and
if
black men have to accept it.
they got to
Black men
accept
have
it.
to accept it.
But if she
Right.
go get a white man, a Spanish man, an Arab dude,
Right.
or anything else, she's like, yeah, I probably should work out. I probably need to get in the gym. So she's like, so they deserve your best, but black men should just take you as you are.
Right.
Only because we're both black.
Right. No,
That's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy, bro. And it's sad because, the Godfather, rest in peace. We're gonna reference him every now and then, but like his soul lives on. He's passed years ago, but like he awakened something in men, in us, and we started seeing things that we hadn't seen before, and it was bringing men together behind a common cause. But he also said that a woman shows men how she feels about men by how she looks, how she presents herself to her. You know what I mean? So like that's how you can tell how much a woman cares about what a man want, because they know men are visual. They know men are the first thing that we're going to see is the physical. That's what draws us in, is if we like what we see. And so we have all these large women being like, I'm not, basically saying like, accept me as I am. But that's how you tell a man how you feel about them, how you feel about what it is that they want or what they need, is by how you present yourself. That's a part of that. And he would talk about that. So it's sad, bro. But once again, I believe the first guy. I know you said you don't know, maybe he was overselling it, but I don't think our women compete. I don't think they want to compete.
Yeah,
And
I
think
agree with
about
it.
it.
I agree
You know,
with it.
I just don't think maybe he was
I
doing the
agree with
most.
that.
Maybe he was like,
Yeah.
but they don't compete, bro. Because think about it. If you're competing for, let's say, a husband, you have to understand the man that I want, and we've talked about this. What does he want? What does he like?
Right.
Where does he hang out? Where can I meet him? You know what I'm saying? What does he value? And then when you know what that is, you essentially have to kind of become that. Otherwise, you're not gonna get the ring. He might clap them cheeks, but he's not gonna put the ring on your finger. But it's
Right.
like
Right.
our women have lost, and this is not even specific to black women, right? But because the clips were about black women, I'm talking to the sisters. But like we did the single mother by choice. This is why you guys say you're a single by choice, because you guys refuse to compete. And so if you don't want to compete, then the cop out or the cope is I'm just going to be single by choice. So ain't no good men out there. No, I'm not going to settle. All these reasons deflecting the fact that you can't get the man that you want. Why can't you get the man that you want? Because you refuse to compromise.
Right.
You refuse to know what it is that he wants. And the thing is, they hear what we want, bro. We're on this podcast stuff, the internet. Men can like now talk and it goes viral. We know the game. Before you had to go to a barbershop or your homies. Like now we have the internet. Now we have YouTube. Now we have TikTok. Now we have social media. We see how women are moving. We have the manosphere. We had the red pill movement. We had
Right.
MGTOW. We have all these ways that men are talking and being like, yo, we got to get hip to the game because we're getting the short end of the stick, right? We know this now. They don't want to compete, bro, and I believe that wholeheartedly. But like, how are you gonna get that? How are you gonna get that man that you want if you're not willing to compete? How? How?
And Joe, let me ask you. Let me ask you. You said a phrase that a lot of women say. I'm not going to settle.
Oh God, I hate
Who's
that.
who?
I'm so tired of that phrase, bro.
But who says you have to settle? Like, okay, you're great, you're awesome, right? Like, there's nothing that need to be fixed about you. You're a perfect 10. You're fake. You're fantastic.
Right.
Just go get him. Go get the guy.
Go
Like
get
you
him.
like who says you have to settle? Like nobody's saying you have to settle. The internet connects all of us instantly, right? I can go talk
Right.
to somebody. Listen, Heather is in Florida right now. You and I, she's on a podcast all the time. We could connect to her like that just because
Like this.
we don't have to settle for people that live in Philly.
Right.
We can
You
go
don't.
get anybody we want because then we have the internet. So this I don't have to settle shit. I mean, you do
It's
have to settle
cold.
because you don't have the you don't have the man that you have access to the man.
Right.
You feel like you just can't get him. So
Right.
you do have to settle because you
Right.
can't get him. Like
Because you can't
there's
get the man that
nothing
you want. Right.
there's nothing restricting any person from connecting to the person that they think that they should have.
Right.
If I could get a baddie, from the beaches of France right now, I have access to her. I could just go on a website and go find her if I was of that ilk of people, right? Like this is like we
Right.
mentioned, this shit is cope. Like I'm not settling. You don't have to settle. Everybody's on the internet. You could just DM a nigga.
Right.
Like listen, I'm a bad bitch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
I weigh 230, but I got a fat ass. Yo, what's up, man? Take me out. What's going on?
Right.
You have access. You can do
Right.
that.
Right. Right. And that's why it's cult, bro. And you make such a good point. Now that we have the internet, that we have dating apps, that we have all these ways to connect with people, you know what I mean? But all these shorties you see online, oh, I entertain all types of high value men. I work around them. I'm around them all the time. Maybe they sleep, but there's no ring on your finger. They're around you, but why are none of them? Look at Ebony K. You mean to tell me that she wasn't surrounded by powerful, wealthy men all the
All the
time?
time. All the
Around
time.
lawyers, around people on TV, around executives, CEOs, lawyers that made significantly more money than her, maybe had more accolades than her. She was around powerful, wealthy men.
Rich dudes.
None
Yeah.
of them. None of them. One of them she was engaged to. As you can see, she didn't marry him. As you can see, she's going to be a single mother by choice. She couldn't find that man. None of them. And that's what I mean by these phrases: single mother by choice, single by choice. No, you didn't have any options. So
No,
you
you don't
were
have
forced
options.
into this position. It wasn't really if you wanted to have a kid, this was your only choice. But don't make it seem like this was completely of your own volition. You created a situation where you had to basically go through IVF because you could afford it because it's expensive, of course, too. And then you went through it because no one wanted to marry you. But you see all these black women on there's so many black women who deal with high value men, no men who are making all this money, and also they are entrepreneurs who are making six figures, bro. I've never seen so many black women who are making six figures, some even with kids still making six figures, and around all these high value men. And you listen to them and you're like, yo, this is the Lulu. This is insane. You guys are lying. A lot of you are lying. I don't believe it, bro. You really think it's all these 6-figure women out there?
They be capping.
It's
They
cap,
definitely be
bro.
capping. They be
It's
capping.
cap. It's cap. So I just really wanted to touch on these 2 clips because I really think that this is the source of that energy that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where these women, and I hate this, settle. You don't want to settle. No, you're getting exactly what your
Yeah.
your sexual market value is, and they think attraction is symmetrical between the sexes. It's not. You have a degree, okay. You got a high paying job, okay. You became the man that you wanted. I don't want a woman like that. I can take the shorty working at Starbucks, the barista, who just has a high school diploma. If she's bad as hell and she's friendly and she genuinely shows interest in me and she's humble, yo, I'll
Right.
wife her up in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. But with these shorties, they think that because they have these degrees and these jobs, that it makes them more attractive to men. It's like, no, sweetie, it does not. I'll still clap them cheeks if you put it on a table, but I'm not going to marry you with your stubborn, arrogant, masculine, sassy. Like, you already know. We talk about the modern woman, bro. You know, we've talked about the attitude problem with Black and Latino women, like especially the college-educated ones who are just so arrogant.
Yeah.
And then they're single by then they're 40s with cats talking about I'm single by choice. No, no one wanted to marry you.
No.
So this is what you tell yourself because you
Yeah, I
failed
don't believe
to
that.
find a husband.
Single by choice is like saying I'm morbidly obese by choice. It's
Right.
like saying I'm broke
I'm
by
broke by
choice.
choice. I'm broke by right. I don't want to be rich. I'm just broke by choice. Like what?
Like what? Like, you
Like
talking about?
what? So yeah,
I want to be on Wick. Like no, you don't. Like no,
yeah,
like you
yeah,
can
right,
only buy certain things with Wick. Like what are you talking about?
right,
Like you can't
right,
buy cinnamon toast crunch. Like no, you don't want that. Like
yeah, right.
you gotta
But
buy you know what the plain random cereals. Like niggas don't want that shit. Like
right, the circus O's, the
the
frosty
circus and all.
flakes,
Circus
Yukon Gold.
frosty.
Yeah, you know the fake shit.
The joke, you remember the cereal Smacks with
Yeah,
the frog?
yeah.
What's the bootleg version of that? Or like a
It's you.
dove or some
No,
shit?
no, it's Yukon Gold. It's like little golden nuggets.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's called Yukon Gold.
Yukon Gold.
Yeah, yeah, that's the fake smacks. No, but
And you telling me you buy Yukon you buy Yukon Gold by choice? Like get the fuck out! Get the fuck.
bro, it's cap. It's cap. But listen, we just wanted to put the clips out there so that the family can see it too.
Right.
Of course, we're live streaming, but we also have the ability to like take the clips and like make them into episodes. So we'll re-upload them. So if people didn't catch it live or don't see that section, you can catch this too. But like, you had to see these clips, family. Like, there is a problem with women right now, and they are so out of touch with men, and it's sad.